This is a very common argument against veganism. This idea that animal abuse is okay because animals aren't people. I mean, it perfectly explains speciesism and human supremacy, which is what we're fighting to eradicate. And vegans aren't saying that animals are equal to humans, just that they deserve to not be tortured and killed for literally no reason. A question I would like to ask is, are you against animal cruelty? If you are, and yet you're paying for meat, dairy, and eggs, you are causing something that you are morally against. And if you think, oh, we can do whatever we want to animals, there's no like moral problem with it, but it's wrong to do all these things to humans, and also we seem to think it's wrong for dogs and cats, then name the trait that non-human animals lack that, if lacking in a human too, would morally justify torturing and killing them. If it's intelligence, for example, pigs are as intelligent as 3-year-old children, but we wouldn't gas chamber 3-year-old children and keep them in farrowing crates. That would be abuse. Let's debunk animals aren't people though. Again, yay. Yes, animals are not people. How interesting. Anyway, sorry. Basically, you need to name the trait that's lacking in animals that, if lacking in a human, would morally justify abusing and killing them. For example, pigs are as intelligent as 3-year-old children. So if you say gas chambering them is okay, is gas chambering 3-year-old children okay? Which I'm pretty sure people know the answer to that. It's kind of fucked up. Like, really fucking immoral. Pretty dark shit. Anyways, I'm not even really equating them, just saying that like their intelligence is very comparable. So, because at that point you're only drawing arbitrary lines between species, which is very arbitrary, we know from like racism and sexism. That's not what really matters. And in terms of animal ethics as well, because why would these arbitrary traits matter, even in terms of intelligence, which is what it's really going to come down to. Shouldn't what really matters be that they are sentient, they can feel pain, and they want to live? We're gonna say humane though. Well, the standard industry practices don't really change small to big farm, and there's no kind when you do these things to animals. It's horrific across the board. Why does a farm or a slaughterhouse being geographically closer to you make it ethical? Why is local animal murder and enslavement ethical? Like, what does that mean? What is that? That has nothing to do with it. But in terms of this whole idea that the majority of animal agriculture is horrific and filled with animal suffering, but there's these little local good farms, you know. The standard industry practices don't really change. Chicks are still ground up alive for eggs. Cows are still separated from their babies for dairy. Animals are still murdered in the same slaughterhouses as the factory farmed animals. Like, I don't really see why that would automatically make animal products ethical. It's the same exact shit. See, it's not an issue of treatment, it's a matter of use. It's the meat, dairy, and egg industries themselves that are the problem. There's not bad within the system. The entire system is inherently cruel and causes so much animal suffering. So, is gas chambering pigs treating them like royalty now? Is stealing cows' babies after raping them and forcing them to go through a 9-month pregnancy, after a 9-month pregnancy against their will, and then stealing all their babies, causing emotional trauma to both, treating them like royalty? Is grinding up male chicks alive in the egg industry standard practice, or suffocating them, or gassing them to death? Is that treating animals like royalty? Chicks are still killed for eggs, and chickens are still depleted of nutrients that they need, that they would get from eating their eggs because we have genetically modified their bodies to produce way too many eggs. Is stabbing an animal in the throat treating them like royalty? I just don't understand. Where is treating an animal like royalty when we're just abusing them at every stage? Standard practice, no matter if it's a small farm or a big farm. To examine if something is humane, first, look at it from the victim's perspective. Would you want it done to you? Also, the idea of humane murder is kind of stupid. I've seen like tons, probably like hours of footage of humane slaughter, and it's the farthest thing from it. And is it really so kind to kill someone who does not want to die just because you want to? It's their body and their life. They do not consent. It violates their bodily autonomy. They want to live, and it's their life. So I don't really know why that's kind or how it could be moral to kill sentient beings against their will. Also, meat, dairy, and eggs. It's not just the slaughterhouse that we're against. There's so much more cruelty and suffering on top of that. There's also the fact that 99% of meat comes from Hell on Earth factory farm. And then there's the trip to the slaughterhouse, which is typically terrible as well, etc. Because there's no nice way to abuse animals. Yeah, welfare doesn't really work. Like, literally 99% of meat in the US comes from factory farms. Sure, some things are better, but the standard industry practices which are required for meat, dairy, and eggs cause much suffering and abuse to animals. There is literally no way you can humanely kill an animal. It will never be kind to take away someone's life when they do not want to die for you. It can never be kind to forcibly impregnate someone, rape them against their will. Cows cannot consent, neither can goats. It can never be kind, which is another word for humane, to separate a baby animal from their mother. Cow's milk is not for you, dairy is not for you, it's for baby cows. The problem is commodifying animals and treating them like objects, products, machines, slaves. If there's no kind way to do these things to humans, then what on earth are we doing trying to find a kind way to abuse animals? It's just a lie we tell ourselves to not feel bad about it and ease our cognitive distance.
Free range though.
This is something a lot of people used to think, and some people still think, but the biggest dietetics association, the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, has stated that vegan diets do not lack any nutrients, and that vegans are healthy at all stages of life, from pregnancy to children to like any age, any stage of life. Like, if you don't get enough B12, I'm sorry, that's because you didn't get enough B12. It's not because you're vegan, it's because you weren't getting enough B12. But there's a study showing that meat eaters are on average deficient in 9 things and vegans deficient in 7. But of course everybody just looks at the vegans when they get deficient because they're eating junk food and they're not eating like whole foods, but it's like that's their choice and it's completely possible to get all the nutrients. And now we're discovering that vegans are actually healthier because animal products are very unhealthy for us, causing cancer, heart disease, type 2 diabetes, etc, etc, etc. That is just 100% not true. Name one nutrient. I challenge you to name one that vegans cannot get. Most times when I say this, I think non-vegans do. They do like a quick little Google search and they find ones that we either don't need or that we can easily get enough of, and it's just like, oh my god, y'all are grasping at straws. Most people answer with B12 and I'm just like, bitch, like, I don't say that, but I'm just like, in my head, like, bitch, you can get B12, it's so easy, like, what? Or they're like, protein, and I'm like, well, there is a study recently done that showed vegans on average have higher levels of protein than meat eaters, which is 100% true, and they're just like, no, and I'm just like, well, okay. Or they say, like, iron and calcium or something, and I'm like, iron and calcium are in plants, and they're like, taurine or cholesterol. It's like our bodies make enough of those. We don't need to intake any amount of those. It's like, oh my god. Actually, the World Health Organization has come out and said that meat causes cancer, and processed meat is a class 1 carcinogen which causes cancer as much as smoking. And the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics has stated that well-planned vegan diets are healthy for all stages of life, all ages, and do not lack any nutrients. There is also a lot of evidence that meat, dairy, and eggs cause heart disease as well as cancer. And a whole foods plant-based diet is the only diet that's been proven to reverse heart disease. And plant foods have all of those nutrients. Also, it's funny how meat eaters are on average more deficient than vegans. Yeah, people never talk about how deficient meat eaters are. It's always, vegans are so deficient when we're less deficient than you are. Also, each diet category has their own specific nutrients they're more deficient in, from vegetarians to vegans to meat eaters. Not putting us in the same category as vegetarians, but whatever, for the sake of this thing. Because I can't overstate how they have nothing to do with this. But anyway, and just because not everyone in that diet group got enough of that nutrient, that's on them. That's because they weren't eating the right foods. Like, we live in America, or at least I live in America, where we eat tons of processed foods. Like, what did you expect, you know? That's just how it's gonna be. But the point is that a lot of those people, like the majority of those people in all those categories, got enough of the nutrient. So eat the right foods, get the right nutrients, stop harming animals. Plants are not sentient! Can y'all stop with the plants feel pain, those stupid excuse? It is so stupid. In order to have more worth, you need to be conscious. How interesting, you can't be an insentient object. No, because plants are objects, they aren't sentient beings. Animal rights is a movement because we're defending other sentient beings, because humans aren't the only beings on this earth who matter and who deserve basic rights, such as the right to life, freedom, and to not be abused and enslaved. or murdered or raped or any of that. There is no more worth attributed to what we do to plants because they are objects, unless it somehow causes some harm to come to sentient beings. Just like how with regards to humans, I do not own anybody else's body or life but my own. I do not own any animal's body or life. They deserve bodily autonomy and they do not consent to what we are doing to them. Therefore, it is technically slavery and it's murder and it's rape and all of that. They do not consent. They do not want to be abused. We should just leave them alone and eat plants. Here's my 80 trillionth video talking about plants feel pain though. I made a YouTube compilation like 5 months ago or something of all the TikToks I made about plants feel pain though. And now it never ends. It never ends. You have a Trump 2020 profile picture, that's all I really need to know about you. But anyway, good! Plants have feelings, that's good. Non-vegans kill more plants than vegans. So if you really think that plants have brains and like animals don't like suffer and feel pain and are sentient. Plants are definitely the ones with brains. I don't know what you're thinking, but yeah. So basically you should go vegan if you care about plants and think they are sentient. Yeah. Sorry to break it to you. Oh wait, you aren't actually gonna go vegan and you don't actually believe in all this bullshit. You're just trying to, oh, okay. Gotcha. Forgot that for a second. Okay, cool. Bye! See, actually, nothing would change if plants actually were sentient and felt pain for some dumb, crazy reason, because vastly more plants are harvested for a non-vegan diet than a vegan one. So you'd still be morally obligated to be vegan, because that's the least amount of harm you can do to plants, because, you know, plants can feel pain. Definitely not tired of this stupid argument. Y'all have no brain cells, but anyway, it literally wouldn't change anything. If y'all actually believed it, maybe you wouldn't be eating animal products. If you think the animal holocaust is comparable to cutting up a carrot, then you can be that stupid, but it's just insanely disrespectful to all the animals like suffering for you to just compare it to picking berries. Like, start using better argument. Oh wait, there is none. Because there's no logical and ethical way to debunk veganism.
Shoving your opinion down my throat though.
What's more forceful, words or violence? Vegans are literally just talking about the abuse that you inflict upon animals who cannot defend themselves, and you are literally inflicting violence and abuse onto animals who cannot stop what's being done to them, and they are being tortured and abused, and they do not want any part of the slavery and holocaust, basically, that we put them through. You say as you literally pay people to force their beliefs onto innocent animals. Words are not forceful. This is probably my literal 40th video talking about the stop forcing your views down my throat excuse against veganism to try to get us to shut up because we make you feel bad by talking. We're talking. Words are not forceful. Violence, knives, guns, slavery, that's a little bit forceful. The animals don't consent. They can't stop what's being done to them. We are not the oppressor. You are not the victim. The animals are the victim. You are the oppressor, and I'm not saying you were always aware of it. We were all conditioned into the system, but once you are aware of it, you have a moral obligation to be better, to stop harming animals. Also, you're on my page. You don't like it? Block me. The animals don't get that choice. This is probably like the 50th video, like TikTok I've made on stop forcing your views on me though, but let's go. No, I can't force you to be kind to animals. I can only make videos about why you should be vegan. You, on the other hand, are paying people to literally force violence, abuse, and suffering onto innocent animals who cannot stop what's being done to them and do not consent, and it violates their bodily autonomy. They want nothing to do with it. That is literally forceful. If I was forcing people to be vegan, they would be vegan against their will. That's not happening. If you're on my page and you hate my content because it makes you feel guilty about doing those things to animals, you can block me. I think non-vegans just say this because you start feeling defensive when, you know, we say like, hey, what you're paying for is actually really terrible and something that you're morally against. it causes cognitive dissonance, so you get really defensive. So you try to shoot the messenger and try to blame us and say, oh, how dare you say these things? I'm the victim. One argument against veganism that I find infinitely stupid is saying that vegans are closed-minded for having the stance of veganism and animal rights. When number one, you literally have the opposite stance and you're not considering veganism and trying to actually use logic to debate that. And two, we got here because we thought for ourselves and had empathy. We got here through challenging the status quo. You're closed-minded if you just accept animal agriculture for what it is and never question it. So I don't know why you're calling us closed-minded for questioning that and for looking into the facts and researching it and coming to the conclusion that it's animal abuse and it's unnecessary and maybe everybody else should just stop and leave animals alone. Also, it's technically not an argument. You have to discuss the logic if you're going to make an argument. So just claiming that the opposing side is closed-minded for having their stance is not an argument. Stop appealing to nature. Other animals kill to survive and lack moral agency, and if both were untrue, why would they automatically be 100% ethical beings? Just like we. Both of those things are untrue for us, yet we aren't. So why are we making wild animals in a survival situation our ethical role models? Why are we making a system that is based on survival, that is amoral and insentient, our ethical role model? It doesn't make sense. No one who takes ethics seriously will do a serious appeal to nature because it's completely nonsensical, and for some reason it's what you all revert back to all the time. Canines, though, is still one of the stupidest arguments against veganism I encounter, but non-vegans will not give this up. Yeah, our big menacing canines. Also, even if our canines were for it, that's just an appeal to nature. Unless you're making the veganism isn't healthy, though, argument, then that's a completely different argument. Anyway, please stop appealing to nature. Oh my god. I have made a 22-minute long video on YouTube of all my TikToks where I talked about the appeal to nature fallacy. That is how many TikToks that it was 22 minutes long. Because some of us think with our brains and our hearts, like desire for justice above appealing to nature. When something is completely unnecessary for health, how can we justify abusing someone in order to get it? Nature is not a system based on morality, so why would we think it's a good moral role model? Plus, this has nothing to do with dairy, eggs, animal testing, zoos, etc., etc., etc. I'm not saying we aren't, we very well might be, but I literally do not care because we do not need to eat dead animals for health. Beyond that, you're just appealing to nature, which makes zero sense. Stop appealing to nature. Also, this would have nothing to do with us breastfeeding from cows, or eating periods, or bee vomit. That has nothing to do with being omnivorous. And in my opinion, the dairy industry is worse than the meat industry. But that being said, there is a lot of evidence that we are actually herbivorous. Our intestines are very long, we chew from side to side, not up and down, and our canines are literally so tiny, I don't even know why we call them canines. Also, canines have literally nothing to do with it. The biggest canines in the world belong to herbivorous animals. Naturally, we would not be able to, be a predator and take down animals and, eat them alive. That would not work out. And we need to cook our meat before we eat it. We literally can't eat it raw. Also, we have to season it with plants to like the taste of it. Raw flesh does not taste good to us. Yeah, exactly. There's no way to eat someone's dead body without harming them. That's kind of the point. And I already debunked omnivores though with an entire TikTok, but here we go again, I guess. It doesn't matter if we are naturally omnivores or not. That is just an appeal to nature, and if you're talking about health, health shows that we do not need to eat meat to be healthy, let alone breastfeed from another species or eat chickens, periods. Anything beyond health is an appeal to nature, and nature is not a system based on ethics. It is a system based on survival. It has absolutely nothing to do with ethics. Other animals kill to survive and lack moral agency, and if both are untrue, why would they automatically be 100% ethical beings? And we are part of nature, yet we aren't. That's how many times I've had to say it that I can say it that fast. Help me, please. Anyway, point is, we have no reason to torture and murder animals for our health. We only do it because it tastes nice, but that is all completely unnecessary. We can just stop and eat plants. So stop appealing to nature. You do not harm your health when you go vegan, go vegan. Okay, so here's another entire TikTok debunking omnivores though. Let's go, boys. First off, it does not matter if we're omnivores or herbivores because that's just an appeal to nature. The only way this would make sense is in a health argument. So you'd be actually making the argument that being vegan is unhealthy though. That's a completely different argument. So it's kind of like this weird place where that argument meets appealing to nature. Even if we were biological omnivores, we can thrive without eating dead animals. So therefore we should not torture and kill animals for no reason. But there is loads of evidence that we are in fact herbivores. Our intestines are very long, our canines are extremely blunt, and other herbivores have canines as well. And there's a lot of other evidence you can look up. I don't know if you can read this, but this basically explains a lot of it. Oops. So does this one. We obviously aren't baby cows, so we have no need for dairy nor eggs. So just because a lion does something, that makes it automatically morally okay for me to do. So if I kill my newborn children for fun, then there's nothing wrong with that. When I go to court for it, I'm just gonna say lions do that. Lions do it. Wild animals are living in a survival situation. Why on earth would they be rational, moral, ethical role models in a modern day society? Not to mention we have moral agency and they do not. Nature is not a system based on morality, it is a system based on survival over time. Please stop appealing to nature, think with your brain next time. Plus, the appeal to nature has nothing to do with dairy, eggs, and animal testing, etc, etc, etc. Please stop thinking veganism is just about meat. I am sick and tired of it. Because it's not. That's only a little inch of what it's about. But, of course, let's appeal to nature and point our fingers at lions and say it's okay, because lions do it. The appeal to nature fallacy never dies, does it? What on earth does nature have to do with ethics? Other animals killed to survive, lack moral agency, and if both of those were untrue, why on earth would that make them 100% ethical beings, when we are a part of nature, yet we aren't? Nature is an insentient and amoral system of survival. Just stop appealing to nature. It's like literally the most common argument in my comment section anymore. I don't understand. I just don't understand. Use better arguments. It isn't animal abuse, it's the life cycle. It's not a cycle of life, it's a cycle of torture and murder and abuse. And it's unnecessary. Stop appealing to nature, assuming that's what you meant, circle of life or some bullshit like that. Other animals killed to survive and lack moral agency, and if both were untrue, why would they automatically be 100% ethical beings when we are part of nature, yet we aren't? Watch the 80 trillion videos I've done on the appeal to nature fallacy. That's a complete fallacy. Like, what does it have to do with ethics? It has absolutely nothing to do with ethics. Sorry for talking so fast. No, we can't force you to be vegan. We can only talk about animal abuse with words and videos, and if you decide to go vegan, cool, that's amazing. Good job. But we are not being forceful. You are literally paying people to force abuse onto animals, innocent animals. Stop forcing your diet onto innocent animals. Stop forcing your lifestyle down their throats. And stop trying to shoot the messenger, debate the idea of animal abuse and veganism without using fallacies or excuses I've already debunked. This week on Debunking the Appeal to Nature fallacy for the 80 millionth time. No, it does not destroy the whole movement because that's the appeal to nature fallacy. Other animals kill to survive and lack moral agency, and if both of those were untrue, why on earth would that automatically make them 100% ethical beings when we are a part of nature, yet we are not? Nature is an insentient, amoral system of survival. Why would we base our actions upon it? Not a great moral compass, honestly. Also, why don't you base your actions off the majority of animals on Earth who just eat plants? Also, if you're gonna appeal to nature, breastfeeding from another species is literally the most unnatural thing ever. That's called dairy products. And dairy is more unethical than meat, and that has nothing to do with the appeal to nature fallacy. If anything, you should not be consuming dairy because it's so unnatural. And eating eggs, which are chicken periods. Anyway, yeah, stop appealing to nature has absolutely nothing to do with ethics. Also, lions, for example, kill their own babies. Can we then kill our own children because it happens in nature too, though?
Crop deaths, though.
Yay, let's debunk crop deaths though, for the 80 millionth time, yay! More crops are harvested for a non-vegan diet than a vegan diet. If you care about crop deaths, go vegan. I live on a soy/corn farm, and all the crop deaths that happen, which by the way is just like insects killed by pesticides, and apparently the occasional field mouse, which by the way, Like, driving cars kills bugs. Like, this isn't like a random, this is a normal thing. I'm not saying it's good. Also, it's not really comparable to the amount of animal abuse happening for the animal holocaust in the meat, dairy, and egg industries. And crop deaths will never stop happening until a vegan world. The best thing we can do for crop death animals is to minimize the amount of deaths that we are causing by living vegan, eating vegan, and being activists and creating a vegan world where hopefully that will stop happening, as well as the actual animal holocaust, which is literally infinitely worse animal cruelty. Y'all don't care about crop deaths.
Your high horse and stop thinking you are morally superior to me.
So one common way I've noticed that non-vegans try to shoot the messenger is they're saying that we are animal rights activists because we want to feel morally superior. Whatever that means. Yeah, I don't know about you, but I'm not in this for myself. I'm in this for one reason and one reason only, and that's for the animals. To help end animal oppression. Yeah, I'm not in this for myself. Getting loads of hate isn't exactly fun. Being met with mostly hate, people making fun of you, personal hate, and people either mocking the message or using every single excuse in the book, and me having to repeat myself for the 80 trillionth time, debunking the same excuses I have been debunking for a year. It's hell. It's not fun. I don't love it. The idea that I do this for myself is just, I can't even fathom it. I don't do it to feel morally superior. I do it because it's the right thing to do and because I have empathy for suffering animals and I want to end animal abuse. Please stop trying to shoot the messenger.
Personal choice though.
Just because something is a choice doesn't mean it's a personal choice. It's a choice for me to punch someone in the face, but that would certainly not be a personal choice. It's not a personal choice when it has a victim. Why is this so hard for y'all to understand? Just because something is a choice doesn't make it ethical. And that's what I'm here to discuss. I don't know why non-vegans have such a tough time grasping this concept, but y'all really... y'all keep commenting this, like, it's a choice, yeah, but that doesn't make it ethical. It's like, well, it's a choice for me to be a serial killer. It's like, yeah, it is. That does not make it ethical.
Legal though. Already dead though. Tradition though.
Can't believe I have to debunk ancestors though for the millionth time, but here we go. I'm running out of content because all I have left is repetition. Anyway, let's get to it. Our ancestors also did many other terrible things, such as human slavery for thousands of years. Also, sexism, homophobia, transphobia, murdering each other, and raping each other, and having wars. Racism. Humans are not morally perfect beings, and our history, if anything, is like the most immoral thing ever. But it looks like we're progressing towards being more moral with time. And animal rights and veganism is the same deal. Also, we used to have to eat animals to survive. Now, we are living in a modern day society where we do not really need to go out and torture and kill animals for literally no reason. We just do it because it tastes nice. If you're talking about humans doing it, it's a lot more like thousands of years, not billions of years, but why does doing something for a long time automatically make it ethical? For example, can you do any unethical thing and if you've done it for like thousands of years, automatically it becomes ethical for no reason? We had human slavery for thousands of years. Does that make it ethical? Just because something is normal and we've done it for a long time has no bearing on the ethics of it. Also, we started because we were trying to survive. Now we do it because, I don't know, sensory pleasure, tradition, because nobody has shown up before and said, hey, let's stop, it's cruel. Vegans are the first people to start doing that, like, in the history of forever, but whatever. Oh, also because people are really bad at thinking for themselves and doing the right thing without a reward, so that's why it's taken a while. Also, why would the whole world die if we went vegan? Actually, the opposite would happen, but that's another story.
Vegans are not perfect though.
If you're talking about how, like, iPhones supposedly have, like, some animal products, like, I don't know what it was, cholesterol on the screen or something, the definition of veganism is as far as is possible and practicable, But yeah, veganism is not a perfectionism pill. We'll still step on bugs and everything, but we've never claimed that veganism was a perfectionism pill. It's just about not paying for animal abuse where literally possible. And through my phone, I'm able to do activism that it does so much more good than harm by far. Like, we cannot expect to have a vegan world if we all like go live in the jungle and like try to cause zero harm or like kill ourselves. That's like the worst thing we can do for the animals. The best thing is to be a member of society and to do veganism as far as we can and speak up for the animals to create a world for them where they are liberated and they have rights and they are no longer oppressed. Some things are unavoidable, but why add so much more animal abuse on top of that? That's literally unnecessary.
You drive a car and have a phone, so that morally justifies me in paying someone to be violent to innocent beings for my sensory pleasure though. It's my culture though.
It's not me. I want your bag, give your best to me. Shorty got the bread and the recipe.
First off, I literally live in the middle of animal agriculture. Every other winter of my 20 years on Earth, we've kept cows at our house for the meat industry. Just keep them here for other people. Also, anybody can look up the standard industry practices or watch undercover footage of those standard industry practices. The standard industry practices of the meat, dairy, and egg industries torture animals, yes, and it's all animal abuse. And why do we do all these things to animals? If it's not for a necessity, that means we simply do it because it tastes nice. Sensory pleasure, i.e. fun. Also, I don't know how many times I have to keep repeating this, but I grew up going to animal agriculture conventions. I was in an animal agriculture club. I took a class in high school in animal agriculture. I had friends with small farms, and there's small farms all around here as well as factory farms. I've seen it with my own eyes. Also, before you say factory farming is not that bad, there's a pile of dead factory farmed pigs that I found last April over there. First off, I want to ask the question. Humane means to show compassion. Is it really so compassionate to kill someone who doesn't want to die for purely sensory pleasure when they don't need to die? Second off, slaughter is not really painless. For example, one stunning method used on pigs is gas chambers, which science shows they feel like they're burning from the inside out, and they scream and they thrash around, even sometimes pulling off their own feet. This was RSPCA approved, but activists got footage of it from around the globe, and that's what they found. Second off, on the trip to the slaughterhouse, they are typically cramped and stressed, either in extreme heat or cold, and it's legal to not give them food or water, so they're starving and dehydrated. And then there's the fact that 99% of US meat comes from hell-on-earth factory farms. And then there's the fact that dairy and eggs are lifelong suffering. If you want to talk about animal abuse, I think taking a baby animal away from their mother, causing emotional trauma to both. Mothers are known to cry out for days to weeks for their stolen children just so we can drink her baby's breast milk instead. If that's not abuse, I don't know what is. Also, stunning doesn't work a lot of times. You have to do it multiple times, or it
Meat tastes good, oh lol, ha 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 ha.
Sensory pleasure does not morally justify animal cruelty. If you think taste justifies the cruelty we inflict onto innocent animals, what about hearing? That's a form of sensory pleasure. Could we gas chamber pigs just because we like the way it sounds when they scream? Would liking the way it sounds when they scream make it moral? Or with murdering humans, would it be moral just because you like the feeling of stabbing people? It's almost like going through life with this selfish attitude of whatever makes me feel good, I'm gonna do. I don't care about everyone else's suffering, is the definition of immorality, literally. So anyway, sensory pleasure doesn't justify it, but on top of that, our food is literally just as delicious. Everything that makes food taste good is already vegan. Especially in 2020 in the West, like, there's alternatives to meat and dairy. Like, you literally, what do you give up? Raw flesh actually doesn't taste that good. Y'all only like it when you season it with plants. But that's irrelevant. Honestly, that's such an insidious comment. That's like saying, if women weren't meant to be raped, why does it feel so good? That's such an insidious comment. I just don't even know how to unpack it. But yeah, if it really tastes so good, like, go eat a raw dead body, honestly. Like, y'all don't even want to be dead bodies. You freak out if there's like a chicken head in your fried chicken. You're like freaking out and like reporting it to everybody. It's just like, it's embarrassing, honestly. And you say, oh, I'm an apex predator. Like, honey, you're not. Yeah, it's such a stupid comment. I don't even know if it's actually an argument. I think it's just you trolling, which is like... Also, cannibals have said that humans taste just like pigs, so honestly, if humans weren't meant to be eaten, like, why do they taste so good? Yeah, try to explain how cannibalism is wrong but not eating animals. Oh, and why the dog meat trade is so evil, but like, eat pigs all day.
Vegans are extreme though.
I actually haven't heard morality is subjective though in a while. You could use morality as subjective though to justify like murdering humans or like doing anything that's unethical. Yeah, morality is subjective, but it's pretty basic also. Kind of the beautiful thing with veganism is if you put dogs, cats, or humans in this place of farmed animals, everyone would suddenly be against it. And that's called speciesism. But it really explains how we are not living in alignment with our own moral values, and that most people who aren't psychopaths agree with the ethics of veganism. And if you wouldn't do these things to humans but you would do them to any animal, then name the trait that if lacking in a human that is lacking in animals would morally justify abusing and killing them. Yeah, veganism isn't some extreme idea, it's literally just the idea that we shouldn't abuse animals. It's not a crazy idea, most people already agree with it. So yeah, go vegan.
Cavemen though.
What the heck, dude? Oh no. Oh no. You're not a caveman. You're not a caveman. It's not survival of the fittest. You're not a caveman. We are in a modern day society. It's about time we start realizing that. It's also about time we start thinking for ourselves and questioning things instead of just accepting things as they are and never questioning why on earth we're eating dead bodies. Also, why we're adult interspecies breastfeeding. So you're telling me you eat meat, dairy, and eggs to survive. You do it to survive. Also, if this is something about the food chain, just stop appealing to nature. It has nothing to do with ethics. Please, just end the appeal to nature fallacy. I literally can't anymore. It's so stupid. Yeah, because we're definitely still in caveman times. What you would do in a survival situation has absolutely nothing to do with what you would do in a modern society. We might partake in cannibalism if we were in a survival situation. It has nothing to do with what you do when you have absolutely no reason to harm someone. So please, non-vegans, start using better arguments. I'm tired of lions though, cavemen though, ancestors though, appealing to nature, just plants feel pain though. Can these just die and we can move on with more logical arguments? We're not living in a survival situation, bud. You would probably do a lot of unethical things if you were in a survival situation. You might like kill other humans who were innocent. Like, what on earth does that have to do with when you're living in a society where it's completely unnecessary to harm others? Literally all you do is go to the grocery store and get neat little packages of someone's dead body and drink someone's breast milk. Like, how does that make you an apex predator? I don't understand how that would mean that you would be better off in a survival situation than me. I just don't understand. You're not a caveman. Grow up.
You militant vegans are in a cult though.
Y'all will really go far to just avoid anything but feeling accountable for your actions for what you're doing to animals. Veganism could not be farther from a religion, or a cult. I don't really know why taking the stance that animal cruelty is wrong and, like, not supporting animal cruelty is a cult. But okay. And that's not really an argument on, like, if we're discussing, the idea that animal cruelty is wrong and, like, everyone who can be vegan should be vegan because of morals. It's the moral baseline. And again, it's the same thing of, like, just because... Why am I shaking? Sorry. It's just the same thing. With, like, oh, just because you care about animal abuse means you don't care about humans. Like, huh? I got here because I have empathy for all sentient beings. Like, huh?
Overpopulation though.
If you're gonna say overpopulation though, no, their populations will go down with time, as we are the ones breeding them into existence for animal products.
This random group of people can't be vegan, so I'm using them as an excuse for me not going vegan, even though I'm perfectly able to though.
Go back home. Hopefully you don't leave my home. I just wanna.
Do y'all ever stop and think when you see a vegan activist that perhaps, this is a crazy idea, perhaps they're trying to talk to the vast majority of the population who are easily able to not pay for animal abuse? And then because we don't put a little asterisk in every single video saying this is not directed at people who can't go vegan, y'all will call us ableist, which is the most fake woke shit ever. Just because you were trying to shoot the messenger, when that's not an argument, you're just trying to shoot the messenger to ignore the message. I have said 1 trillion times, my message is for the people who are able to go vegan, which is the vast majority of the population. Also in terms of health problem, I'm gonna say, sure, some people can't be vegan for reasons of health, but I still haven't had that proven to me. I see literally no biological reason why any human would need to breastfeed from another species, let alone eat chicken periods. Meat makes a little bit more sense, but judging by the fact that humans don't need meat, I don't fully understand that either. But most people do. Most people can easily be vegan. For example, vegan staples such as rice and beans are cheap around the whole globe. There's a reason poorer countries tend to focus on the whole plant foods. So yeah, money shouldn't be a problem. I seriously don't know how this myth got started, that veganism is so expensive. I genuinely don't know who started it, why everyone thinks this, like what? Like, you don't have to eat freaking Beyond Burgers every day to be vegan. Like, I don't understand. Like, make a bowl of pasta, that's like cheap as hell, bro. You don't need vegan alternatives to like meat and dairy to be vegan. If you can afford it, it's nice, and it'll probably make, your transition easier if you're focusing on yourself rather than the victims. But vegan food is literally just plant food, and it's everywhere, besides, like, the Arctic or something, I don't know, but it's mostly available to most people, like rice, beans, bread, chips, potatoes. I don't know how cheap frozen veggies are, but frozen veggies, oats, peanut butter, freaking Oreos. Tons of junk food, by the way. If you're eating junk food, a lot of that happens to be vegan. And some candies. A lot of vegans have personally told me their grocery bill went down when they went vegan. But it all depends on what you're buying. You can buy, burgers and vegan cheese and, like, I don't know, like pre-made meals, but you can also just buy the basics.
God though. Bible though.
Why do people keep commenting this? I've said this before, I'll say it again, I'm an atheist. So, you're probably talking about the passage where Jesus, gave people fish. One thing I think is really important to note about back then is that it used to be necessary to eat animals. There is a clear difference between what you do in a survival situation and what you do when you have an abundance of resources and don't need to harm others. Do you think a loving God would create sentient beings who can feel fear and pain and avoid death? Avoid being stabbed in the throat because they don't want to die? Wouldn't it make a whole lot more sense for a loving God to create objects that we could eat that aren't sentient and can feel pain? Like plants. Also, there's evidence that heaven is vegan and so is the Garden of Eden. So if a world without sin is vegan, what does that tell you about the ethics of eating animals? Not to mention the insidious dairy and egg industries. God isn't real, but anyway, no religion mandates eating animals. It makes literally no sense that a loving God would create other sentient beings who are very similar to humans, just a ton of other species along with our own species, and then say, hey, I'm a loving God, but you're gonna have to torture and murder these animals to eat something. Oh wait, it's almost like there's objects that we can eat, called plants, like fruits and vegetables and nuts, seeds, all that, and they don't suffer and aren't sentient. It's almost like that makes a lot more sense. It's almost like Eden was vegan and heaven, even carnivorous animals are gonna stop eating animals in heaven. Thought that was interesting. Please stop using religion as an excuse to do terrible things. That's, in my opinion, religion is very harmful, but please just think logically and use empathy.
animals are here for us though.
And are women here to serve men? Are black people here to serve white people? This mentality has been the root of so much oppression and suffering. The idea that sentient beings exist to serve other sentient beings, and that they exist for you. It's such a selfish mindset, I don't even know how to fully wrap my head around it. Animals are not here for us, they are here for themselves. Racism, sexism, speciesism, they all share a common link. And maybe it's time we stop being so selfish. Maybe it's time we learn that other groups of beings don't exist for us, and that by them simply existing is enough for them to be respected. Okay, but can we talk about how messed up that mindset is? The idea that other sentient beings exist for you is such a selfish mindset, and it's been the core of so much oppression. Women do not exist for men. Black people are not here to serve white people. Animals are not here for us. Racism, sexism, and speciesism are all really messed up. I think it's time to learn compassion and basic respect. Human supremacy is fucked. Go vegan. I lost count of how many times I've had to address this argument against veganism with an entire TikTok, but let's go. And are women here for men? Are black people here for white people? No, other sentient beings do not exist for other sentient beings. But animals were not put here, period, because nobody created them. Evolution happened, and many species came out of that, and we are just one species of animal. But we're so egotistical with our human supremacy that we think every other species of animal does not matter. Their lives are here for us, and that only we matter. It is such a selfish and supremacist mindset, also known as speciesism. No, animals were not created for us, and they weren't created, period. They matter too, just like how we matter, and we shouldn't be abusing them and murdering them. They want to live, they feel pain, they don't want to suffer. We need to just be their guardians instead of their abusers.
We would not have enough land though.
Our second point is very ironic because it's actually the opposite. Switching to a plant-based food system would free up enough land that we would be able to rewild and drastically help deforestation because animal agriculture is the leading cause. Animal agriculture right now accounts for 83% of our farmland. And a vegan diet requires 1/3 of the land required for a conventional Western diet. So we would free up so much land. Why do people still say this? Is it because of that stupid Steven Crowder? That one time he's like, wow, veganism's bad for the environment because this. Earthling Ed, one of my favorite animal rights activists, he debunked that entire thing, and I think maybe Mike the Vegan did, I don't know. But y'all will take anything that makes you feel comfortable about not being vegan and paying for animals to be abused and run with it because it makes you sleep at night. Anyway, literally it is the polar opposite. Like, transitioning to a plant-based food system is like one of the literal best things we can possibly do to help climate change and the environment in every single way. Like, I can't even overstate this. Animal agriculture is one of the leading causes of climate change. It's the leading cause of like species extinction, ocean dead zones, deforestation, etc. Like, oh my gosh. Animal agriculture is so resource inefficient and unsustainable. And why do you think they're being bred into existence? They're being bred into existence because of the demand for animal products. Their populations would go down with the vegan world, but yes, I would love for them to still exist and live happy lives on farm sanctuaries. It's also pretty hypocritical for us to think that the animals are the problem and we need to basically cull them when humans are literally the reason the earth is dying. We're the ones overpopulating. We're the ones destroying everything. But yeah, quite literally, the United Nations has come out and said that the single biggest thing that you can do to help the environment is to adopt a plant-based diet. And like, veganism is about the animals, but it benefits the environment in like so many ways. Like, animal agriculture is one of the leading causes of so many of our environmental problems. Why are y'all still in my cannibalism joke? Also, eating vegans would be literally the worst thing for y'all. Veganism is about the animals, not the environment, but it helps the environment in like every single way. Animal agriculture is one of the leading causes of climate change. It's the leading cause of deforestation, habitat loss, species extinction. Animal agriculture is literally the most resources inefficient system of food that we could have. A vegan diet requires so much less land and resources and water and just everything. Animal agriculture accounts for 83% of the world's farmland. Under a plant-based food system, we could free up to 75% of our farmland. The University of Oxford, as well as the United Nations, have said that the single biggest thing you can do for the environment is to adopt a plant-based diet. So yeah, you kind of be doing like the worst thing ever, getting rid of us. When last time I checked, we're the only people really addressing one of the biggest roots of climate change, and we're gonna help solve this really big impending issue. But yeah, veganism is about the animals.
I ain't with it, never did it before. He got me all in my feelings, now he got you all in yours. Ooh.
Predators though. Bred to be killed though.
Hello. So recently I saw someone in my comment section saying that vegans need to stop being so judgmental. And I was like, I've seen this a couple times before, but it's really just the shoot the messenger strategy. Trying to blame all your guilt back on vegans and say like, you're the oppressor and I'm the victim. The animals aren't the victim and I'm the oppressor. Like, how dare you judge me? You have no right to tell me like I'm paying for animal cruelty and it's unnecessary and I should go vegan. But also it's really weird because you guys judge people. We all judge each other all the time. Like, you're gonna judge people for being racist. You're gonna judge them for being homophobic. Like, we're all like, what? If we can't critique each other's actions and say, hey, maybe this is wrong, maybe we shouldn't do that, then we're not going to progress as a society. And again, that has nothing to do with the actual moral debate on veganism. It's just a cheap way to shift blame and to make vegans shut up because you feel bad.
Veganism is like a religion though. We would actually listen to your message if you weren't so militant though.
Tryna fuck you, baby. Hopefully we don't have no babies. I don't even want.
With any economic change, some people will lose jobs, some people will gain jobs. Industries die and industries come into existence. It's just how things happen. But the people working in the animal abusing industries, they're not the victim. And I love how you said millions, like, you know, to try to say how many, when there's trillions of suffering animals being tortured and murdered by these industries, including things like animal testing and all the other wonderful ways we abuse animals. These people can get different jobs, the animals can't get different lives. I seriously thought non-vegans were done saying that they need to eat dead animals to survive, but I shouldn't have to debunk this. There's millions and millions of people not eating animals and millions of vegans, which is, you know, because I don't want to put vegetarians in the same category as vegans anyway. And we're all just chilling, alive, you know? Alive and shit, like... And food chain, though. I've made a million videos on the Peel the Nature Fallacy. I'm dying inside, oh my god. Anyway, so other animals killed to survive and lack moral agency, and if both are untrue, wow, they automatically be 100% ethical beings, and we are part of nature. We aren't. Stop appealing to nature has nothing to do with ethics. What animals do who lack moral agency wouldn't be perfectly ethical beings without it, and need to do to survive. Why on earth would that justify us torturing and murdering animals because it tastes nice? I just stop appealing to nature.
Unnatural though.
I'm pretty sure there's protein in all plants, just in varying degrees. Like, yeah, I'd rather get my protein from beans that doesn't have all the cholesterol that causes heart disease and doesn't, like, get me cancer. Also on protein deficiency or whatever the heck, the only way to be protein deficient is to just not eat enough. So, like, protein's not a problem at all. Also, I don't eat meat substitutes for protein, I just like them. Yeah, beans are just one of, like, many things that are really high in, like, plant protein. The only one we need is B12. And we used to get B12 from stream water and dirt that was already on vegetables, but now everything is sanitized, so we cannot get B12 that way. And fun fact, 95% of B12 supplements are fed to farmed animals, so you supplement B12 either way. But yeah, B12 does not come from animal products, it comes from soil. Bacteria in the soil. So it's not really a health thing. It's not like, oh, you're unhealthy because you have to take a B12 supplement. Like, no. Also, B12 is fortified in tons of foods. If it's an unnatural, though, argument, stop appealing to nature. And there's no reason that we would be unhealthy because we're taking B12 from, like, fortified foods or supplements. Again, you're getting it from supplements through someone else's dead body and breast milk and periods anyway. So yeah, why supplement it through somebody's dead body? Why not just go to the bacteria right away and just get your B12 directly? Not gonna lie, that's a weird take. So you're saying if something is the norm, that makes it ethical. So was human slavery, like, ethical when that was the norm? Like, all this argument is the appeal to popularity fallacy, which is a fallacy for a reason, because it makes no logical sense. But with veganism, yeah, I think most people aren't really aware what they're contributing to, and therefore they don't really think it's wrong until vegans show up and, like, kind of explain how it's wrong, and then they realize it's wrong, but they're, like, kind of just pissed at you, because cognitive dissonance and guilt. But anyway, so sure, there's a kind of aspect of people before they, like, logically think through it and realize that they're contributing to cruelty. But the facts and logic are still there. Humans are abusing animals for purely, like, sensory pleasure and convenience. And through logic, there's no way to justify that. So yeah, don't appeal to popularity.
Vegan propaganda though.
Here's the ironic thing about non-vegans. You trust the multi-billion-dollar meat, dairy, and egg industry's ads. But when we tell you to watch undercover footage of these standard industry practices, which you can look up to, like, verify that this is what's happened, standard practice, you say the footage of the standard industry practices is propaganda. Not the ads saying, oh, it's humane, you know, haha. Showing cartoon animals smiling, you know, when you're eating their dead bodies, you know, it's fine. 99% of meat in the US comes from Hell on Earth factory farms. Dairy requires separating a baby animal from their mother, causing emotional trauma to both, you know, just ignore that. I recommend Dominion in specific because it is the best documentary out there of undercover footage. But there's many other sources of undercover footage, such as Meet the Victims, and all kinds of activists who have done undercover work.
Soy though.
I find it so interesting that people will simultaneously say that vegans do absolutely nothing and are making no change, and that if they go vegan, they will not be helping anything, which, by the way, is the appeal to fertility fallacy, and then simultaneously say that vegans are the reason that deforestation is happening because of soy production. Yeah, I'm actually in a soy field right now, and all the soy is going to animal agriculture because the majority of soy, it's like 80% or something, I don't know, around there. I don't have all my stats perfectly memorized, sorry, goes to animal agriculture. Only a very tiny percent goes to human consumption, and probably a very tiny percent is actually vegans. And, like, no shit, like, by us existing, we're gonna demand land, and that's gonna cause deforestation just like any other person. But, like, the leading cause of deforestation is animal agriculture, so if you really care about that, then, like, go vegan, or go plant-based. If it's not for the animals, then it's plant-based, whatever. Also, you can easily be vegan and not consume soy, so, like, what excuse do you have to pay for animal abuse now?
It's like that. He ain't never leaving, no, he coming right back. I know that.
This is the appeal to futility logical fallacy. Yeah, it doesn't really do much to take down the entirety of animal agriculture. For example, if I'm not racist, that doesn't, like, take down all of racism, obviously, but you're still morally obligated to not be racist. Just like you're morally obligated to not abuse animals, even though by not doing it, you're not gonna end the entirety of it. So yeah, you won't go vegan and then the next morning you wake up, animal agriculture has been destroyed. No, but it just means you're not doing something wrong. And you don't pay a hitman to abuse animals for your pleasure anymore. It's the moral baseline, it's literally the least we can do. It might not be, just like how it might not ever be 100% not racist. Or 100% like, without people murdering each other. But you're appealing to futility. What I am here to discuss is why you are not vegan, the blood that's on your hands. Because it is the moral baseline to not harm animals, to not abuse them. Stop appealing to futility. I'm here to talk about what you are causing individually.
Cows' udders would explode though.
You see, the thing is, cows don't naturally produce milk. Yes, because we've genetically modified them to produce, I think it is like around 4 times as much milk as normal, because, you know, money. That's because of us, why they produce in excess. But none of it goes to the baby cow, because they're separated at birth. You know, maybe we wouldn't have this problem if we didn't artificially inseminate them and steal their babies and shoot them. Because, you know, the baby would drink it. Kind of seems like animals would produce milk and feed it to their babies completely fine without us. No animal needs to be milked. And nobody needs to drink the breast milk of another species. Especially not past infancy. I'm pretty sure we all think cows naturally produce milk. I did for like 17 years. And that's just really good propaganda on the dairy industry's part. This is a huge myth created by the dairy industry. Is there any other species that's just out there producing breast milk for literally no reason, and like they need to be milked by humans and they need us to drink the milk? Does that happen anywhere else? Why are cows the one magical species who needs humans to drink their breast milk and to milk them? Maybe, just maybe, we shouldn't force pregnancy onto them and then steal their babies away from them. Because then the baby would drink their mother's breast milk, and they wouldn't be pregnant in the first place. But the dairy industry is very, very manipulative. They rely on lies because their industry is so fucking weird and cruel. And most people don't even know how the dairy industry works. They aren't really aware of the horrific cruelty that they're funding by consuming dairy products.
At least they were born though. I don't exploit them myself though.
No, you technically don't, but you pay people to abuse them for you. So yeah, your cognitive dissonance is uncomfortable and you want to feel like it's not your fault, but it kind of is. As in, it is. But me realizing that was what made me go vegan, because I realized I was the monster in the animals' eyes and I didn't want to be the monster anymore. I wanted to leave them alone and not harm them. Because I realized what I was contributing to was a moral atrocity, and I was like, no, I don't want anything to do with this. So I washed the blood off my hands. Sounds dark, but animal rights with the whole animal abuse thing, it's actually, I don't know, it's just a sad, you know, topic. I don't know, it's dark. So yeah, I washed the blood off my hands. Now I'm an activist and vegan, so...
Shorty gon' buy it back, and he don't want nobody else sitting it like that. Before
the fake wokes have struck again. This is the other bad things are happening too, and you might be paying for it, so that means I don't have to quit paying for animal abuse, even though it's literally extremely easy for me to stop. You can care about that and be vegan, fun fact. But by buying animal products, it's like paying a hitman, and there's literally no way for it to be ethical. You non-vegans who are fake wokes, do you not eat fruits and vegetables? What's going on there? Because I'm pretty sure you eat, the same foods. It's not just vegans who are driving the demand, it's mostly non-vegans. And if you educate yourself, you can boycott that too.
If non-human animals are not supposed to be eaten, why are they made of food though? You vegan snowflakes, ha 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 ha.
fuck you, baby. Hopefully we don't have no babies. I don't even wanna.
Humans are superior though. Worse things happening though.
Go back home. Hopefully you don't leave my home before I die.
Part 6 of the most stupid arguments against veganism. You're just trying to spread the vegan agenda. If anyone has an agenda, it's the industry's profiting off of animal exploitation. Our agenda is just justice and compassion. This picture basically clears things up. You say, my body, my choice, as you're literally eating somebody else's dead body, and they did not get a choice in being murdered for you. Exactly. Their body, their choice. Their life, their choice. It should be their choice, but they don't get a choice, do they? We force them to be murdered and enslaved just to eat their corpses. It's their body, it should be their choice. I can't, just the complete and utter irony. Do you people even see how ridiculous that statement is? It's like saying live and let live, like vegans should shut up and just let me live and let live. Exactly? You should just leave the animals alone, live and let live. Do you guys not see the irony here? Go vegan. This argument against veganism is so stupid. First off, you just saying this is just the shoot the messenger strategy. But beyond that, it's really stupid to think that if you are against animal abuse, that means you care about animals more than humans. It's a crazy idea, I know, but you can care about human oppression and animal oppression. And it only makes sense that you would care about both. And yes, I care about both. That's why I care about politics. Go vegan.
Close till I get up. Time is barely on our side. I don't wanna waste what's left. The storms we chase are leading us, and love is all we'll ever trust. Yeah, no, I don't wanna waste what's left. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go. Through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And